If we have a look at the radio, it's all right to have butterflies in your stomach. Just get them to fly in formation, according to Rob Gilbert. What I'm going to touch on are just a few tips when it comes to radio interviews. Generally, when you do get a radio interview, so just as a step back, once we've crafted the media release, we have our key media that we've formed relationships with, we've sent them the media release. Journalists will then come back with more questions, with follow-ups, and there might be a radio interview. Generally, if you send out a media release, anticipate that there will be media interview requests, media questions. So make sure that you don't send a media release out and then go on a holiday and not available on your mobile phone, or the second in charge isn't aware that there's a media release that's gone out and not available for media interviews. It ruins not only the PR agency's reputation, but your reputation. And the journalist is going to be very reluctant to interview you in the future when they see a media release coming from you, when they know the last time they received an media release, they wanted to interview you and you weren't available. So it is really key to be available for any media interview and questions that do come from that. So radio interviews, generally they happen on the same day. Normally they're about 5 to 7 minutes long. So anticipate this. If you're going to be sending out a media release, practice sound bites of 5 to 7 minutes long. Make notes, make keynotes. Generally they're telephonic. And especially at the moment, during a lockdown situation that we have, they are going to be telephonic, they are going to be via Zoom or MS Teams. So make sure that it is a landline or that you have a good signal as well. Speak in sound bites. So make sure that you keep to the point. Make sure that you have 3 or 4 key messages that you want to bring across. And make sure that part of those key messages is to bring in contact information. I don't know if you've all had that before, where you've listened to the most incredible radio interview. The person speaks so well. It's such an interesting story. And whoops, the interview ends and you don't know who's just had that interview. You're not sure which company it is, and it's going to be quite difficult to try and Google somebody that you don't know who that was with. So bring in your company's details subtly, because again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not about a branding exercise, but it does help to bring in contact information so that somebody can contact you for more information to discuss the specific issue further. And then, as I've mentioned, no more than 2 to 3 points, because otherwise it's going to just be information overload and people aren't going to remember all of the things. So to make sure that one of those 3 points are your contact details. So when you conduct an interview, find a quiet room, especially now being in lockdown, being at home. It's a little bit trickier because everybody's at home and the neighbors do have noisy kids. So find a quiet room, make sure that the washing machine's off, make sure the dog's happy, make sure that the ambiance in the background is silent. Turn off your technology, because if you're doing an interview either via your computer, you don't want your cell phone to be ringing, or you don't want your emails to be popping up and WhatsApp messages to be coming through. Landline is generally best, but we are also seeing more and more cell phone interviews being done. Practice out loud, and especially if it's a morning interview, because this is quite interesting. You don't want to get a fright from your own voice. I think often when you start talking and you think, oh my goodness, is this what I sound like? If you've practiced out loudly beforehand, it does really, really help. Just loosens the voice cords a little bit, and have a glass of water close at hand as well. Write down your key points. And just out of interest, so this is what a sound bite looks like. And the more you practice how to speak in sound bites, there isn't room for manipulating what you are saying. So speak short and sweet in sound bites. Here's a lovely quote: the media works in sound bites. They can make you look like a genius or stupid.